Welcome back to the Xander Insurance Countdown to Friday. It is now time for Prep Rewind, where we take you back in time with people that have done it. News and noteworthy, of course. Baseball is Jason Maxwell's forte. That's why he's coaching down there at Innsworth. You got a really good program down there. I mean, you have kids that really love what you're doing. They're passionate about, performing not only for you but for a pretty good school.
Absolutely.
So you got a great touch with the kids. But ironically, we had you on because we obviously did a segment with Thomas Osteen, as you just saw.
Right.
But more particularly, you are a former Chicago Cub, so you kind of understand kind of the release of the curse.
We got a lot of tie-in here, Marshall County Cubs. It's a good week.
Yeah.
It's a good week.
So I texted him last week about coming on. And he's at Game 6 of the World Series up in Cleveland.
Nice.
So he helped remove the curse.
I felt a part of it.
And so then I tried to get a hold of him the next day. I'm like, so did you go to Game 7? He's like, no, man, I didn't go. So it's a good thing they won, because I was getting ready to give you a hard time.
It was a good thing they won. I'm glad we won Game 6, and then Game 7 was one of the best baseball games you've ever seen.
But were you thinking, though, when they were down 1-3 against Cleveland Indians, that here we go again?
You can ask
the
people.
Curse continues.
You can ask people. I said it in April, and I said it down 3-1. I said, don't worry, Cubs are winning this year.
All right. Well, I think the roster that Theo Epstein and, of course, Joe Madden managing,
a little magic.
Yeah, they're doing some pretty good stuff there.
Yeah. But let me ask you something. Game 7, they kind of won that game in spite of Madden, not because of Madden, did they not?
I was a little concerned when they took my man out in the 5th inning.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little concerned, and then bringing Chapman back, relievers. He's throwing 98. But you look at it, if he was throwing 92, but see, that's a drop down from his 102, 103, right? So that's 5-6 miles an hour. If you're throwing 92, you drop down to 86, there's something wrong. You time it a little differently, and this ball's not moving. So I was a little concerned about that, but they hung in there and they battled. Evidently, the rain delay with Hayward, evidently his speech motivated them some more going into those extra innings, and man, they came back alive and closed it out.
Let me ask you something. Now, a guy who's struggling the way Hayward did in the postseason, for him to have the wherewithal to pull everybody together, I mean, how much weight does a guy who's not necessarily getting it done on the field carry in a situation like that?
That speaks a lot about his character. If you ask, that speaks a lot about his character. But you notice, there were 2 plays in Game 6, the game I was at, that solidified that I said this right here this is going to change the series. Okay, first inning, Cubs come up. The outfield communication between the center fielder and the right fielder. Okay, get a double out of that.
When it should have been caught.
Should have been caught out of the inning. Hayward comes up, bases loaded. He dives and makes the play, if you remember that. And then in the 3rd play, he guns a guy out from the right field corner. So he wasn't doing it offensively. And in baseball, you say don't take your offense to defense. And he's a prime example that he kept playing defense the way. That's why he's a Gold Glover. But he kept playing his defense, and he made crucial plays. And then he comes in. The players respect him. He's a veteran. The younger kids respect him. And when he spoke, they listened and they responded.
You're talking about football and basketball, it's almost an instant gratification because, you get to play almost immediately at those last levels.
Absolutely.
But, just talk about the process that you had to go through, just leaving MTSU and making your way to Chicago.
It's a grind, and it takes a lot of faith, a lot of belief. You surround yourself with good people because I wasn't a first-round draft pick, so I had to fight my way, to make it. And I think that made me appreciate the game a little more. And to this day, I think my coaching style goes into that because I enforce to our kids, you got to work, you got to earn this.
Sure.
Not only were you not a first-round draft pick.
I was a last rounder.
The 74th.
Yeah. They don't have.
They don't even have 74.
They don't have that anymore. And when I got drafted, I remember going to the great Huntington, West Virginia. That was my first stop, and the manager said, I don't know where we're going to put you guys. Put you. And I'm like, what? And so that immediately got my juices flowing, and I knew once I stepped on the field, I had to prove a point, and it kind of took off from there, where after that first season, I wasn't looked at as a 74th rounder anymore. I was looked at one of the better prospects in the organization. So I always had that, but I still had to fight and tear my way up the ladder. It was not easy.
Yeah. So before we get to, because we had Tony Kemp on
Yeah.
just a little bit ago from Houston Astros,
Yes.
and he kind of shared with us the moment that he got the call.
Yeah.
You know, what I mean, ironically, he was actually in town, wasn't he, Mo, to
Yeah.
get that
That's
news.
right. He was here in Nashville.
Yeah.
I remember that.
But you had to do some things down there in Marshall County to, get yourself to be recognized, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of a smaller
Absolutely.
area, and you had to do a lot of stuff. So, we went down to Marshall County and got some great video.
Oh.
Yeah, three-sport athlete. Jason Maxwell putting it down right there. I could not believe that. I had to ask the coach. I said, "Is that for real, Jason?"
I'm just afraid of what's next.
Yeah, I mean, and then we
should
got,
be.
I didn't first realize that there was a,
I am so cringing right now.
I didn't realize that there was a Jason Maxwell Boulevard. I didn't look at the trophy case with showing all of the awards, the accolades from
guy.
Jason Maxwell down there. I didn't realize what a rock star this dude was.
This dude had scholarship offers and
I
offers.
knew that
Yeah,
was coming.
and how about that? The high top got with the park
With the
going on the
park,
side.
yeah.
My 7-year-old son, we were just down there at the gym for an alumni basketball game a couple weeks ago. He didn't
Yeah.
recognize. I said, "Who is that?" He had no idea who it was.
Did you play?
I did not.
How about this right here?
said-
What does that look like?
Oh,
Jason
whoa,
Maxwell
whoa.
Boulevard. Now you're doing it when you got a Jason Maxwell Boulevard that intersects the school right there. So anyway, I didn't want you to be,
No, he had football scholarship offer from then Memphis State. Had basketball offers from Lipscomb University.
Belmont. Had a few.
He
Had a few.
so you
I got a
but you-
chance to see him in high school.
Yeah.
He was a real deal.
Yeah,
So
three-sport
Marks,
athlete.
actually, it's funny. I'm thinking driving over here. I met you in 8th grade
That's crazy.
Wow.
at Page Middle School. We played. My middle school was Connolly Middle School, and we played Page, and I met you there.
In 8th grade,
And I knew he was special then.
and you knew you were
It's a
supposed
long
to.
time ago.
Well, talk about that. Like the decision to do what you did. I mean, you could have done anything. You just mentioned you had a lot of options.
Right.
Why did you choose baseball?
I always go back to say I didn't choose baseball. Baseball chose me.
Okay.
I thought about my size. Wasn't the biggest guy in high school. I wanted to be a professional athlete. Bottom line, I wanted to play pro, and I thought my best chance. I said, okay, basketball. No, there's a guy down in Memphis my age that's pretty good, 6'7" point guard by the name Kenny Hardy.
Oh.
So I said that's not going to work out. And then football, I had options, a lot of options, go several places. And I went on visit, and I saw guys who looked like you. And I said, I don't know about that. So baseball, and my high school coaches always told me baseball was going to be my sport, and it ended up being, baseball chose me. I really thought about it, and luckily I played it, and here I am.
Joe George didn't steer you wrong, did he?
Never have. Never have. To this day, is one of the best men I've ever met in my life, and taught me a lot. Not just about baseball, taught me a lot about life, and he's very dear to me. So he never steered me wrong.
Is it easy running thing? Is it easy kind of putting what you've learned in your journey, from MTSU through the minors to getting that call? Talk about that for a minute. Just like what it felt like, or how did you get the news? And were you excited about it?
I was astonished. In minor leagues, you're reading newspapers. There was not a big ESPN back then. It was ESPN, but it wasn't crazy. But you're looking at the transactions. And so I remember we left Iowa, and we were heading to Canada. I forget which part. And so we get to Canada, and all the guys were saying, you're getting called up today, because I had a great year at Iowa. You're getting called up. And I no. And Brad, you're going to know what I'm talking about, Nike Town.
Yeah.
So we all had a bet. Whoever goes to Nike Town has to take care of the rest of the players.
Shut your mouth.
And so Nike Town in Chicago, and so they were like, Maxwell, you're going to take care of us because you're going to Nike Town. I was like, whatever. But anyway, Terry Kennedy was my manager. We're getting ready for batting practice, and he walks by my locker and he goes, you got the call. And I just kind of look at him like, what? So he walks away, comes back. He said, congratulations, you're going to the big leagues.
Shut your
And,
mouth.
there are a lot of feelings in the world, but it's not many as good as that, because everything you worked hard for, it comes down to that moment where he tells you you're going to the big leagues. And I remember him telling me, he said, you want to go out and take BP? I said, no way. I'm going to the hotel. I'm not getting hit in the head. I'm not getting hurt. I'm going to the hotel. Next time you see me is I'm out
TV.
here. I'm out here. And so I went to the hotel. Of course, I called my parents. That was my first call, calling my parents and letting them know. But other than that, I was staying in the hotel room, couldn't wait, didn't sleep, and took a flight back to Chicago, going through customs in Canada and all that. I can't remember much, but I just remember getting to Chicago. That was a big thrill.
How long after that did you get into a game?
That night.
Oh man.
That night.
So
and
much for jet lag, huh?
So no jet lag. You know, the lights a little brighter, and we were playing the Cincinnati Reds. I'll never forget it. And my first at bat was this guy named Steve Parrish. And I just faced him in the minor leagues and hit him well. And I remember the bat felt like a little broomstick in my hand, and I struck out on 3. I was back in the dugout quicker than more longer than you know.
Yeah.
And I remember Sammy Sosa came up to me and said, "Hey, you're not in the minor leagues anymore." So, but that was kind of my welcome. And then my next at bat, I hit a home run. But and then the next day,
I tried to figure out that dynamic in the dugout when we were watching. You know, like there's different coaches there. You know, you're talking about Rollis Chapman. He's got an interpreter. You know what I'm saying? So, how does that work particularly? I mean, is there that same kind of camaraderie with a guy that you really might not even understand what he's saying all the time?
You know, coming up through the minors, you kind of learn, you know, to speak a little bit, you know, of Spanish. Learn enough to where you can understand, and they know enough by that time to understand you. So, and then you develop those friendships in the minor leagues. Those are the best friendships ever, the bus rides. And you guys are all with the same goal right there, trying to get to the big leagues. And you share a lot of time together on those 13-hour bus rides. So it's interesting. Baseball is definitely different than, say, football, where you play on Sundays. Baseball is every day. And or basketball, you know, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, but baseball is every day, and so you're together and you get to know one another pretty closely. Or sometimes people don't like one another. So
you got a lot of time with the Cubs, but you also spent some time with the Twins, and I remember you did a baseball clinic here one winter where you brought Jock Jones and Torrey Hunter in.
Yes, I did. That was we did it down in Marshall County. I don't know, we had a ton of kids, and you know, we were busing kids from the school back to the baseball field, football field. It was crazy. So, but Torrey is probably my best baseball friend to this day. So he came down. Jock was here, I believe, and Matt Lawton, David Weathers, who lives down in Lawrenceburg, he came up. So we had a lot of major leaguers there. That was kind of something that in this area nobody had ever seen before, and you know, people still talk about that camp to this day.
Weathers' kid is pretty good.
He's special. Yeah, he's pretty good. He you know, is committed to Vandy. So he
was committed to Alabama.
He was committed. He decommitted over the summer, I believe, and now he's going to Vanderbilt.
Well, we got to take a break. When we come back, we got a little bit more with Jason Maxwell, head baseball coach at Ensworth High School, and of course a former Chicago Cub. But we've also got our pull-apart peak performers too to get into when we come back. For more from the Zander Insurance Countdown to Friday when we come back. Stick around.